When a young blogger went to check out some hidden rivers in the Florida Everglades, she was filming, but she never came back. For a whole year, people searched and found nothing, like she had just vanished. Then, a crab fisherman pulled up his trap from the water and found something that would lead the police to think a very scary thing had happened. Earl Tompkins had been fishing for crabs in these waters for 37 years. His hands were rough, but moved quickly as he grabbed the line for his trap. The sun was hot above him, making the water look like shiny gold. His boat's engine made a steady noise as the machine started pulling up the crab trap from 40 feet deep. "This one's heavy," he said to himself, squinting in the bright light. A heavy trap usually meant a lot of crabs, which was good because crab prices were high. The trap came out of the water with a big splash. Earl could see the blue crabs moving around inside, their claws up and ready to fight. But he also saw something pink. He pulled the trap onto his boat and opened it. Crabs spilled out everywhere. What in the world? Earl reached past the crabs and grabbed a phone in a wet pink case. It was covered in green stuff and barnacles. The phone was an iPhone, but the screen was dark. He held it in his rough hand. It looked like a young woman's phone. He found things like this sometimes, dropped by tourists or lost by kids. This phone had been in the water for a long time. The trap had been sitting in the water for 2 weeks, about 8 miles from the land. Earl put the phone down and kept sorting his crabs, but he couldn't stop thinking about it. Finding someone's personal things always made him feel a little strange. When he got back to the dock, Earl decided to take the phone to the sheriff's office. An hour later, he gave the phone to the person at the evidence counter, thinking it was just another piece of trash from the ocean. He didn't know that the phone was about to solve a year-long mystery. Kira Westfall was looking at building plans in his office when his phone rang. It was the sheriff's office. He paused before. Answering calls from the police were never good news. "Mr. Westfall, this is Detective Patricia Chin. Are you Kira Westfall's father?" The plans on his desk went blurry. Grant's throat felt tight. "Yes, I'm her father. Did something happen?" "Mr. Westfall, we found something that might be your daughter's. You come to our office this afternoon? Something? Kinda something?" Grant was already getting his keys. "A fisherman found a cell phone. The number on it matches your daughter's phone. I see she's been missing for about a year." Grant felt like his legs might give out. "Yes, she went missing in the Everglades." "Where did you find her phone? I'd rather talk about it in person, Mr. Westfall. Can you come in? I'm on my way." The drive to the sheriff's office felt like it took forever. Grant's mind was racing with all the things that could have happened, each one worse than the last. After a year with no clues, her phone just showed up. His hands shook on the steering wheel. Inside, Detective Chen took him to a small room. On the table was a plastic bag with a pink phone case covered in sea stuff. Grant knew it right away. He had given Kira that case for Christmas 2 years ago. "Is this your daughter's phone?" Detective Chen asked softly. Grant just nodded. He couldn't speak. "Mr. Westfall, the phone was found in a crab trap about 8 miles from the shore in 40 feet of water. Our tech guys were able to get some information from it. There are videos from the day your daughter went missing." She turned a laptop toward him. "These are the last videos. I have to warn you, they might be hard to watch." Grant saw his daughter's face on the screen. She was in her kayak, her blonde hair shining in the sun. Her voice was happy as she talked for her blog. "Hey guys, I'm out here in this amazing hidden river that some guys at the bait shop told me about." The time on the video said 4:47 p.m., less than an hour before she was supposed to be back. Grant watched her paddle through the trees. She was alone, just like her friend Jenna had told the police. "The phone's last known spot was here," Detective Chen said, pointing to a map. "The currents from that spot could carry things out to the open water." Grant stared at the map, memorizing the spot. After a year of searching and sleepless nights, he finally had something. "What do we do now?" Grant asked. "We'll search that area again," the detective said. "We'll also go to the marinas and boat ramps to see if anyone saw anything that day." Just then, an officer in a Marine Patrol uniform came in. "Detective, I heard what you were saying," he said. "I patrol those waters. I can help you talk too. People at the marinas, I know most of the boat captains there." Detective Chen agreed that would be a big help. "Mr. Westfall, would you like to come with us? Sometimes seeing a family member helps people remember things." Grant stood up right away. "Yes, of course. When do we start?" Officer Hutchins looked at his watch. "I can take Mr. Westfall to the marina now. It's the closest one to where his daughter was filming." As Grant followed Officer Hutchins out, he held the paper with the GPS spot. His daughter had been in that hidden river, excited about a fishing spot. Then she was gone. Her phone ended up 8 miles away in the deep ocean. It didn't make sense, but for the first time in a year, he had a clue. Grant sat in the patrol car as they drove south. The trees were thick along the road. He kept seeing his daughter's last video in his mind. "I'm glad you're taking the time to do this," Grant said. Hutchins looked at him with a kind face. "No problem. I have a daughter about your girl's age. I can't think what you've been going through." They got to the marina where fishing boats were tied up. It smelled like boat fuel and salt water. Some of the boat captains nodded to Officer Hutchins as they walked by. "Let me show you something," Hutchins said, taking out his phone. He showed Grant a map of the water. "This is where your daughter's phone was last seen. It's a confusing area. The locals call it the maze." Grant looked at the map. The detective said the water might have carried the phone out. It could have, Hutchins said, but he sounded doubtful. "But 8 miles is a long way. Something else might have moved it." They talked to a few boat captains, but no one remembered seeing anything a year ago. Grant was starting to feel let down. Then Hutchins stopped. "Well, look at that. Wade Corbin." A man who looked to be in his early 50s, with sun-worn skin and tattoos, walked over. Grant saw the name of his boat, Second Chance. "Troy," Corbin said with a smile. "Didn't think I'd see you here on a Sunday." "I'm here for something else," Hutchins said, pointing to Grant. "Wade, this is Grant Westfall. His daughter went missing out here about a year ago. Grant Wade is one of the best captains around." 23 years, Corbin said, correcting him. He shook Grant's hand. "Sorry to hear about your daughter. These waters can be dangerous." Hutchins showed Corbin the map on his phone. "Does this spot look familiar?" Corbin looked at the screen. "That's deep in the maze. Good fishing, but not many people go back there." He looked at Grant. "Your daughter was a blogger. Someone at a bait shop told her about a good fishing spot." "Ah," Corbin nodded. "Yeah, the old guys like to tell pretty girls about their secret spots." He paused. "You said her phone was just found." Grant told him about the crab trap. As he was talking, he saw Corbin give Hutchins a quick look. 8 miles out in a crab trap. Corbin said slowly, "That's really something. The water moves in strange ways back in those rivers." "Is that what you think happened?" Grant asked. "It's the only thing that makes sense. Unless, boat quotes, he stopped talking." "Unless what?" "Nothing. Just thinking." Corbin seemed to make up his mind. "Listen, Mr. Westfall, I feel bad for you. How about this? I can take you out there tomorrow morning. We can look around those rivers again." Grant's heart jumped. "You'd do that?" "Sure. I know that area very well. Maybe we'll see something that others missed." Hutchins smiled. "I think that's a great idea. Wade knows these waters better than we do." They planned to meet at 7. The next morning, Corbin said he didn't want any money. As Grant walked back to the car with Hutchins, He felt both hopeful and nervous. "Wade is a good guy," Hutchins said as they drove off. "He's helped us before. He knows things about these waters that aren't on any map." "He seems to know a lot," Grant said. "Oh, he does. If your daughter got into any trouble out there, Wade would know what could have happened. But just a warning. After a year, you might find things you don't want to see." Grant's jaw felt tight. "I need to know what happened to her, no matter what." Hutchins nodded. "I get it. Just be ready. The Gulf doesn't usually give back what it takes." Grant got to the marina at 6:45 in the morning. Wade Corbin was already on his boat, the Second Chance. It was a big boat, made for deep water. "Morning, Mr. Westfall," Corbin said. "It's a beautiful day for a search." Grant got on the boat. As he put his bag down, his foot hit a loose panel on the floor. He looked down and saw several panels that looked like doors. "Watch your step," Corbin said quickly. "There are storage spots all over the floor." Grant nodded, but the storage spots seemed too big for just fish. The boat also had a lot of fuel tanks. "That's a lot of fuel," Grant said as Corbin started the engines. "I need it for long trips," Corbin said. "Sometimes I'm out for 12 or 14 hours." They headed out of the marina. Once they were in open water, Corbin sped up. Grant held the paper with the GPS spot, watching their location on Corbin's screen. "So, tell me about your daughter," Corbin said over the noise of the engine. Grant talked about Kira's video channel and her dreams. Corbin seemed to really be listening. After about 30 minutes, they were getting close to the spot from Kira's phone. Corbin started to slow the boat. "'Kay, we're near the area," Corbin said. "But I have to tell you, Mr. Westfall, we can't go into this part." Grant's stomach dropped. "What do you mean?" "See those poles over there?" Corbin pointed. "That whole area is off limits. It's a protected zone for manatees. We can't take the boat in there." "But my daughter was in there. Her GPS showed ... double quotes." "I know," Corbin said, looking sad. "But that was a year ago. The rules changed. We can get close and look around the edges." They spent the next 2 hours searching around the edge of the area. Grant used binoculars to look at the trees while Corbin talked about how the water moved. Around noon, Corbin said they needed to get fuel at a small dock nearby. While Corbin was filling the tanks, Grant saw him loading supplies onto the boat. Among the boxes were packages of women's hygiene products, like tampons and pads. "Stocking up," Corbin said when he saw Grant looking. "I keep a good first aid kit on the boat. You'd be surprised what people need." It was a good excuse, but it felt planned. While Corbin was inside paying, Grant talked to a worker on the dock. "Do you know Captain Corbin?" Grant asked. The young man looked around. "Wade. Yeah, he comes here a lot. He seems like a good captain." The worker's face changed a little. "He knows the water. But just so you know, he has friends. Marine Patrol guys. They watch out for him. His boat never gets checked." Before Grant could ask more, Corbin came out. On the way back, Grant's mind was spinning. The big hidden spots on the boat, the extra fuel, the women's products, and friends. In the Marine Patrol, each thing could be explained, but altogether, it felt wrong. "You're quiet," Corbin said as they got back to the marina. "Just thinking about my daughter," Grant said. As they tied up the boat, Grant thanked him for the trip, but his mind was already working. The story about the protected area felt like a lie. He decided he would rent a small boat the next day and go to that GPS spot himself. His phone buzzed. It was a text from Officer Hutchins asking how the search went. Grant texted back, "No luck." Captain Corbin was very helpful. He didn't say what he was thinking. Not yet. But he had a bad feeling that Corbin's help was just an act to hide something else. Grant barely slept. At 5 a.m., he drove to a different marina and rented a small boat. He told the man at the desk he was a tourist who wanted to look around. He put the GPS spot into his phone and headed deep into the maze of rivers. The area was confusing, and without his phone's map, he would have been lost. The map led him to a very narrow river. He turned off the engine and heard the sound of other boat engines up ahead. He tied his boat to a tree and quietly climbed through the woods, following the sound. He saw 3 boats tied together. One was Corbin's second chance. Another was a blue and white boat. The third was a Marine patrol boat. Grant's breath caught in his throat. Wade Corbin was on the patrol boat talking to Officer Hutchkins and another officer. They were moving heavy boxes from the blue and white boat to Corbin's boat. Grant took out his phone and started recording. "The next shipment from Cuba should be here Thursday night," Hutchkins was saying. "How many this time?" Corbin asked. 12, maybe 15. Mostly families with kids. Grant's hands were shaking. They were smuggling people. "What about that other situation?" The second officer said, looking at Hutchkins. "From last year, maybe it's time to clean it up." "No." Corbin's voice was sharp. "That's my decision." Grant kept recording. "What situation from last year?" "Around the time Kira went missing." "Your choices are going to get us all arrested," Hutchkins said quietly. "We should have dealt with it from the start." "We've talked about this," Corbin said, "the way we have." "It's set up now works, does it?" "Her dad is asking questions, and that phone showed up." "He won't find anything," Corbin said with a dark smile. "I showed him everything but the one place that matters." He believed the story about the protected zone. Some things are worth the risk. The place is safe enough. Grant kept recording, feeling sick. They had Kira. They had kept her for a whole year. "We should move the next group through the place Thursday night," Hutchkins said. "The road should be clear after midnight." "Okay," Corbin said as they started to untie the boats. "I'll get the warehouse ready." "And I'll handle the other." Problem then, too. Grant had heard what he needed. He started to back away, but he slipped and a branch snapped. "What was that?" the second officer said, his hand on his gun. "Probably just an animal," Corbin said, but he was looking into the trees. Grant stood completely still. After what felt like forever, he heard the engine start. "I'll check it out," Hutchkins said. "You two get going." Grant waited until the boats were gone before he went back to his own boat. The old processing plant off Route 41. Thursday night. His daughter was there. Started the engine and headed back, his mind racing. They were hiding something about the time Kira disappeared. That other situation, the trafficking, explained the boat, the fuel, and the police protection. But there was something else they were hiding. Something Corbin was willing to risk everything for. As he got back to the marina, Grant knew what he had to do. His brother-in-law, Blake, was a federal agent in Miami. He would be outside the local police and could be trusted. But Thursday was only 3 days away. If they were planning to handle the other problem, then he might lose his only chance. To find out what happened to Kira, Grant drove out to Route 41 that evening. He found an old, abandoned fish processing plant set back from the road. A rusty chain was blocking the driveway. He parked nearby and walked through the woods to get a closer look. The building was big, and unlike other abandoned places, it looked like someone was taking care of it. He saw new locks on the doors and a faint light coming from inside. This had to be the place. He found a spot to hide and watch. As it got dark, everything was quiet, but the light inside stayed on. He was taking pictures of the building when his phone rang. It was a number he didn't know. "Hello," he answered. After a moment of silence, he heard a weak, scared voice whisper, "Daddy?" His heart stopped. "Kira, is that you?" "They said you were looking," she sobbed. "I'm so sorry. I tried to... The call ended. He tried to call back, but the number was gone. She was in there. His daughter was right there. He started to run toward the building, but stopped himself. Going in alone was a bad idea. He didn't know how many people were inside. Was the call a trap? He went back to his car and called Blake. In Miami, Blake. I found her. Kira's alive. He quickly explained everything. Grant, listen to me, Blake said. Do not go in there alone. I can get a team there by morning. They're moving her tomorrow night, Grant said. I know, Tiff. You go in and get killed, you can't help her. Send me everything you have. The video, the location, all of it. Grant agreed and sent all the information to Blake. As he was driving home, his phone rang again. It was Officer Hutchins. Mr. Westfall, just checking on you after your trip with Captain Corbin. Grant gripped the steering wheel. I'm fine. Good. Listen, someone said they saw you taking pictures of old buildings on the highway tonight. Is that true? A cold feeling washed over Grant. They knew. I couldn't sleep, he lied. I'm an architect. Those old buildings are interesting. Ah, okay, Hutchins said, his voice friendly but with a threat underneath. Just be careful out. They're also that protected area Captain Corbin told you about. We're opening it up tomorrow for some work. If you want to take another look, I could take you myself, maybe around noon. It was a trap. That's very nice of you, Grant said. Let me check my schedule. Sure, Hutchins said. But this might be your only chance to see that exact spot. The threat was clear. Come with us or lose your chance. I understand, Grant said, trying to keep his voice calm. You do that? Hutchins said. And remember, people disappear out. Here all the time. The call ended. They knew he was close. The call from Kira was probably a test to see what he would do. He got home and checked his house. Nothing was out of place, but he felt like he was being watched. He saw an email from Blake. Team is coming. Be there at 8 a.m. Do not go in. Before we get there, that's an order. 8 in the morning, but Hutchins wanted to meet him at noon, and they were moving Kira tomorrow night. The time was running out. Grant walked around his living room, hearing Kira's sad voice in his head. I'm so sorry. What was she sorry for? What did they make her do? He looked at the clock. 2 a.m., 6 hours until Blake's team would be there. He knew he should wait. But he thought about Kira in that building, knowing he was looking for her. Would they hurt her for making that phone call? He went to his closet and got an old hunting knife. He had never been a violent person, but for his daughter, he would do whatever it took. He would give Blake 6 hours. But if he saw them moving her, or if he heard her scream, he was going in. As the sun started to come up, Grant got a message on his phone from a number he didn't know. It was a picture that made his blood run cold. It was Kira in a dark room. Her face was thin, and she had fresh bruises on her arms. A hand was holding her shoulder, making her look at the camera. Her eyes were full of fear. The text with the picture said, "Every hour you wait, it gets worse for her. Come alone now, or we move her." Grant jumped in his car. 2 hours was too long to wait. They were hurting her because of him. He drove toward the old plant, leaving a quick message for Blake with the location. The road to the building was open. He parked his car and walked toward it. It was early morning, and everything was quiet. But he could see new tire tracks in the dirt. He found a side door that was open a little and slipped inside. The place smelled awful, like mold and fear. The main room was huge, with old, rusty machines. There were makeshift walls set up to create smaller rooms. He heard voices and moved toward the sound, holding his knife. In another section, he saw mattresses on the floor and chains on the walls. It was a place where they held people. A soft crying sound came from behind a steel door. "Kira," he whispered. The crying stopped. Then he heard a very quiet "Daddy." He tried to open the door, but it was locked with a heavy padlock. Well, look who's here, right on time. Grant turned to see Wade Corbin standing there, holding a gun. I bet Troy you'd come running in instead of waiting for help. I won, Corbin said with a cold smile. Fathers are always so easy to predict. Let her go, Grant said, holding his knife tighter. The FBI is on their way. Are they? Then we should hurry, Corbin said, pointing the gun at him. Drop the knife. Grant dropped the knife. Kira's phone showing up was bad luck, Corbin said, talking like they were just having a chat. She hid it for 3 days after we caught her. She was filming us during a transfer. She almost cost me a lot of money. Corbin's face got dark. But I have to say, keeping her around was my own choice. Your daughter has a lot of fight in her. Grant lunged at him, but Corbin raised the gun. Want to see her again? Then stay still. Hutchkins and the other officer came in, both holding guns. Took you long enough, Corbin said. We had to make. Sure he was alone, Hutchkins said. He looked at Grant with a little bit of pity. You should have come with me at noon. It would have been easier. Enough talk, the other officer said. We need to move them both to the boat. Them both. Grant's stomach dropped. Can't have any witnesses, Corbin said. Don't worry, you'll be with your daughter. A quick family reunion before you both end up at the bottom of the Gulf. It will look like a sad boating accident. Hutchkins came toward him with zip ties. Hands behind your back. Grant had no choice. As his hands were tied, the other officer unlocked the steel door. A terrible smell came out. He went inside and brought out a person who barely looked human. Grant almost didn't recognize his own daughter. Kira was so thin, her clothes were torn and dirty, and she had infected cuts on her arms and legs. She could hardly stand, but when she saw Grant, her eyes filled with both hope and sadness. I'm sorry, Daddy, she whispered. I tried to be careful. It's not your fault, baby, Grant said. None of this is your fault. They were walked through the warehouse. Grant saw at least 20 mattresses on the floor. These men had ruined so many lives. How many? Grant asked. How many people have you brought through here? Does it matter? Hutchkins said. People will pay a lot of money to get here from Cuba. We're just providing a service. They reached a hidden dock where a fast, dark boat was waiting. As they pushed Grant onto the boat, he realized his phone was still in his pocket and recording. It was the proof Blake needed. But then Hutchkins saw the phone in his pocket. He was recording, the officer said, holding it up. Relax, Corbin said. There's no signal out here. We'll get rid of it with them. They pushed Grant into the boat's small cabin with Kira. She leaned against him, shaking. I'm here, Grant whispered. I'm here now. Through the window, he saw Corbin start the engines. In just a few minutes, they would be out in the deep water, where no one would ever find them. Grant pulled at the zip ties, but they were too strong. Beside him, Kira was having trouble breathing. A year of being held captive had destroyed her body, but as she looked at him, he could see she was still a fighter. Dad, she whispered. The other girls? There are others. I know, baby, I know. The boat sped up, leaving the shore behind. Blake's team was still at least an hour away. By then, he and Kira would be at the bottom of the ocean. The boat moved quickly through the water, heading out to the deep part of the Gulf. Through the cabin window, Grant could see Corbin driving the boat and Hutchkins looking at a map. 10 more minutes until we get there, Hutchkins said. The other officer, Navarro, came to the cabin door to check on them. His hand was resting on his gun. These men were professionals at this. Beside him, Kira was breathing with more difficulty. He could feel that she had a fever. Stay with me? Baby, Grant whispered. I tried to get away, she said in a weak voice. So many times, but they always caught me. She shivered. Wade came to my room every few days. He said I was his prize for all the risks he was taking. Grant felt a hot rage build inside him, but he knew being angry wouldn't help. The boat started to slow down. Grant looked out the window and saw nothing but ocean all around them. It was the perfect place to make people disappear. "Okay, bring them up," Corbin ordered. Navarro pulled Grant up and then grabbed Kira. She cried out in pain. "Leave her alone." Grant shouted, "She can barely stand." Navarro hit him across the face. "Shut up." They were forced out onto the deck. Corbin had 2 long, heavy chains ready. Hotchkiss was tying big concrete blocks to the ends of them. "Any last words?" Corbin asked, making fun of them. "Want to say you love each other?" Grant looked at his daughter, trying to remember every part of her face. Even after everything, she was still his little girl. "I love you, Kira. I never stopped looking for you." "I know, Daddy. I love... ... The sound of a helicopter cut through the air. Everyone looked up. A black helicopter was coming toward them, fast and low. It wasn't the Coast Guard. It was Federal. "Agents, damn it," Hotchkiss said, grabbing his radio. "Who is that?" "Federal agents, stop your boat now." A loud voice from the helicopter boomed. Corbin pushed the boat's controls forward, and it shot ahead, making Grant and Kira fall over. Navarro pulled out his gun and started shooting at the helicopter. "Are you crazy?" Hotchkiss yelled. "They're feds. We're done for anyway." Corbin screamed back. The helicopter moved quickly as Navarro fired. Grant saw his chance. With his hands still tied, he threw himself at Navarro's legs. They both fell, and the gun slid across the deck. "Dad," Kira screamed. Grant saw Corbin dragging her to the back of the boat with one arm around her neck. He was holding one of the concrete blocks in his other hand. "Stay back, or she goes in." Corbin yelled at the helicopter. More boats were appearing on the water, all heading toward them. The trap Blake had set was closing in. Hotchkiss knew it was over. He dropped his gun and put his hands up. "I give up." "I'll talk, you coward," Navarro yelled, trying to get to his gun. Grant kicked out and hit him in the side. Just as Navarro's fingers touched his gun, a sniper from the helicopter shot him. He fell to the deck and didn't move. "Stop the boat." The voice from the helicopter yelled again. "You are surrounded." Corbin looked around wildly. Grant could see what he was thinking. If he was going down, he was taking Kira with him. "No," Grant yelled. Corbin pushed Kira toward the edge of the boat. The concrete block went over the side first, the chain quickly following it. In a few seconds, it would pull her into the water. Grant didn't think. He ran and slammed into Corbin with all his strength. They both fell and rolled toward the edge. The chain was pulling tight. Blake, Grant's brother-in-law, slid down a rope from the helicopter onto the deck. He was wearing tactical gear and carrying a rifle. He shot Corbin in the shoulder. As Corbin screamed, Blake kicked him in the jaw. Another agent ran to Kira and grabbed her just as the chain pulled tight. He used a pair of bolt cutters to cut the chain. "She's safe. The bad guy is down. We need a medic now." Someone cut the zip ties off Grant's hands. He crawled over to Kira and held her as federal agents took over the boat. She was awake, but very weak. A medical helicopter was already overhead, ready to lower a rescue basket. Blake kneeled next to them. "Grant, Kira, we got you. You're safe now." "The building?" Grant said quickly. "There are others, women and children. We already got them," Blake said. "Your video gave us everything we needed. We rescued 12 people, all alive. We're taking down this whole group as the medical team." Got Kira ready to be lifted up. She held Grant's hand. "Don't leave me," she begged, sounding like a little girl again. "Never again," Grant promised. "I'm going with you." The rescue basket lifted them both up toward the helicopter. Below, the boat was covered with federal agents. As they flew up into the sky, Grant looked down at the boat where he had almost lost everything. But they had made it. His daughter had survived a year of hell, and he had found her. The nightmare was over. Now they could start to heal. In the hospital's intensive care unit, Grant sat by Kira's bed. He hadn't left for 18 hours. She had IVs in her arms to fight the infections. In her body, she had lost 43 pounds. The doctor said her recovery would be long. Blake came into the room. "She's stable," Grant said. "Corbin is talking," Blake said. "He's telling us everything. He's more afraid of the Cuban cartel than of going to prison." "Tell me what happened." "They were smuggling 15 to 20 people at a time, making about $30,000 for each person. They'd been doing it for 3 years, and Kira?" Grant asked. "She was in the wrong place at the wrong time. She paddled her kayak right into one of their transfers and had her camera on. Corbin saw the red recording light and rammed her kayak. During the fight, her phone fell out, but she managed to grab it and hide it in her clothes." Blake continued. "The battery was almost dead. It died a few hours after they caught her. She kept the dead phone anyway. A few days later, she managed to throw it into a canal, hoping someone would find it and trace the location from her last videos. The canal led to the ocean. It was a 1 in a million chance that the fisherman found it." Blake's face got dark. Corbin admitted he kept her for himself. He assaulted her over and over. Hutchins and Navarro knew, but they didn't do anything because Corbin was their connection to the cartel. A small sound came from the bed. Kira's eyes were open. "Dad," she said. Grant took her hand. "I'm here. You're safe. You're in the hospital." "The others?" she asked. "The women and children. They're all rescued and safe," Blake told her. Tears ran down Kira's face. "I tried to help them," she whispered. "You survived," Grant said. "That's what's important. You survived, so I could." "Find you." Blake's phone buzzed. "The lawyers are here. Corbin and Hutchins are both pleading guilty. They'll get 25 years to life in prison." He put his hand on Grant's shoulder. "I'll take care of the legal things. You stay with her. After." Blake left. Grant looked at his daughter. The happy blogger was gone, but she was a survivor. She was alive. They could fix everything else. "I'm sorry it took me so long to find you," he whispered. Kira squeezed his hand. "You found me? That's all that matters." "I'm never leaving you again," Grant said. "Whatever you need, we'll get through this together." She gave him a tiny smile, the first one he had seen. Together, Grant sat back in his chair, holding her hand. Outside the window, the sun was setting. In this room, a father and daughter were starting their long journey to healing.